Hi guys, welcome to Big Loss Official. Today's guest on Talking Strongman is another legend. And I say legend a lot in this series, but Odd is without question. He's the oldest man ever to compete at World's Strongest Man. He's competed in almost every single strength sport there is. And it's an absolute pleasure to be talking to you today, Odd. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's I was just saying then, I mean, you've literally done everything, haven't you? You've done weightlifting.
There's very few that I haven't competed. I haven't actually competed in arm wrestling.
Okay.
Yet.
Yes.
Yet, because I'm kind of tempted. If I could get some training, if I find the time for some training, maybe I'll do it.
Yeah, I've been doing a bit of arm wrestling and I enjoy it. It's actually
it's a great sport. I just recreationally I tried it a couple of times, but I really think it's a great sport.
I should imagine with all your kind of grip strength attributes and just years and years of training, with a little bit of technical work, you'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I think the wrist and the grip, of course, is really big on it. So that's strength. I would work a little bit more on my bicep strength and stuff like that. Because
that's
during my strongman career, I ignored that. I used to be pretty strong in the bicep because I was, a bodybuilder before I became a strongman. So, but and the first time I actually did one of my early years of strongman, we had actually strict curl as one of the events, and I got second in it. So
okay,
I did pretty well. I think like right around 200 pounds on the strict curl.
Nice, that's good. It's sort of becoming quite popular again, the strict curl. I've seen Larry Wheels is kind of doing it. There's a few other guys. I think Denis Saplenkov, the arm wrestler, has the world record in it as well. So those guys have some seriously strong arms. I think wrist strength and hand strength, or certainly grip strength, we're up there with the strongest. But those guys, it's that unique, specific strength that they have, that kind of cupping movement, and those things that we would take a little bit more time to get as strong as maybe some of the top arm wrestlers in.
I don't know about that. I think the strength would be there. It probably would be the technique, and I think that maybe the arm strength and the static strength in your arm to be able to just hold it, because you're not really moving your arm. You're just actually creating this lever, and you're using your body. So getting that connection. I think that I tested with some people, like on the wrist thing, they can't move me on the top. No. But if they really try, they're gonna outmaneuver me and take my arm off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just like strength to strength, I think we will do quite well, because that's kind of the same strength, out there in the grip and the wrists.
Well, for strongman, I mean, particularly when you were competing in your prime, there's a lot more grip stuff. It's sort of vanished a little bit now, which I think is a shame, because I love the grip challenges, and I'd like to see more grip involvement in sport. It's starting to come back now. We see the Hercules hold, but I'm a big fan of grip training and different grip challenges. Anyway, before I just talk to you and bore everyone about grip and arm wrestling, because I could talk about it for hours, I want to go back to you getting involved in strength as a whole, fitness, because you've got to take us back. I mean, I don't mean to, say you're old or anything, but we're going back a fair few years when you first stepped foot in the gym, I should imagine.
Well, I actually started training on my own when I was 10 years old. There was not even a gym in the town I came to. So I don't even know how. There was no weights, there was nothing. I started making my own shit up. My first dumbbells were basically some cubs of birch wood with a handle between them. And I made dumbbells like this, and that's how I started training. And I was just enamored with anything that had to do with strength and, actually agility and stuff like that too. I was a ski jumper actually when I was a young kid. So, and some amazing thing was that the Norwegian ski jumpers back in, they're different now, because now they're had to be so super light. They were actually normal sized people, meaning that they were probably weighing from 150 to 170, 80 pounds. That would be a very big one. But now, of course, they're 120 pounds. So, and just trying to be as light as possible. But back then they were strong. And one of the things that turned me on to, I started bodybuilding and doing bodybuilding. But one of the earliest training programs I did was the ski jumping training for the adult ski jumpers, the Olympic.
Okay.
They were dominant. Norwegians were dominating. But why they were dominating, their training was very similar to what we're doing now 50, 60 years later.
Really?
With
That's
very
interesting.
much, yeah, with a lot of like bounding, a lot of lifting, explosive lifting, balancing. I mean, if I go back and took that course, I think, oh my God, this is like what it's coming back to now. You know, when everybody is trying to do all this stuff, but it obviously worked because they were totally dominant. You know, in 1960, basically the 1960s.
So what kind of distance were you jumping back then?
Well, when the last year I was jumping, I had to jump up into the juniors because I was too big for the kid, my age group. Because I was outgrowing basically the hills. But, you know, we didn't have the biggest hill, but it was like 50, 60 meter hills.
Cool. I should imagine you need a lot of core strength, leg strength, that kind of thing for that type of sport.
Well, it's explosive legs, obviously, and then have the body control to be able to control it. But the ski jumping back then is totally different from what it is today. I still love it. I watch it, but it is a total different thing. They fly today.
They really do.
The skis. We had the skis closely together like this, while now they foil them out, so they're making and they have suits that make them fly, so they're literally flying.
They are. I love watching it. I mean, I won't sit here and pretend I know an awful lot about it, but I love it when the Winter Olympics is on and you just see them and just see how far they can go. And you know, we have Eddie the Eagle Edwards from he's from the same town I was born in.
Is he?
Yeah,
okay.
and you know, we just had a film about him recently, and obviously
Eddie the Eagle is fantastic. He's a legend, practically. He's amazing. I mean, we always said that you can't do this unless you start when you're like 6 years old. That's when I started ski jumping, because as you get older, you get cautious, and it's a sport that you cannot have any fear.
No.
If you have fear, you can't do it.
Yeah.
And like if you start when you're 14, 15 years old, you already have fear. Yeah. He was 20-something, I think.
Yeah. I certainly.
It was amazing. It was amazing. He wasn't very good as a ski jumper, but you know
But just the guts to go and do it, because it would terrify me.
It would terrify me today.
So from ski jumping, where did you go to next then with the?
Well, that was the sort of my foundation of my training when I was training at home, and then I was mixed up with bodybuilding and weightlifting. I did a lot of old-fashioned lifting. I did a lot of one-arm lifts, overhead lift, and I worked my grip. I did all kinds of things because I was reading the old-time Strongman, like Ironman magazine that went back all the way to 1936. And I bought all the back issues and stuff like this. I was reading English, this Ironman magazine. They had all this stuff about the old strongman and the different kind of oddball lifts and stuff like that. So I was very good at one-arm lift when I was like 15, 16 years old. Much stronger than I am today. Not maybe no stronger, but I was so good at it.
Yeah, of course. I love all that old stuff. I mean, when I first got involved in strongman, the first place I found was Iron Mind. And that sort of looking at through their kind of magazine, the Milo magazines and stuff like that, I became fascinated with grip training. And then I looked in, even deeper to some of the older stuff. And I find it fascinating. It's really.
Of course, that was 30 years later.
Yeah, no, I know. But no, exactly. But they had a lot of stories of these older guys.
No, absolutely. I loved the Milo magazines. I'm sorry that it's no longer around, but, in the days now with
the internet, we don't need it now.
Everything is digital, so
it's a shame as well, because I don't know if you've seen. I've done a few kind of mini documentaries on. You featured heavily in one of the ones I did, like the oldest guys to compete in worlds and stuff like that. And it's hard to find a lot of good information now on the older guys. It's easy to find the new guys. Everyone knows stuff about like Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall and those kind of guys. But I find it interesting to see where everyone came from and, looking back. And I like finding those old books that you can just read through. I remember reading a guy called Doug Hepburn. He was
he was fantastic Canadian, right?
Canadian strongman. That's right. Yeah. And just really interesting reading his story and how his career developed.
He wasn't super big, but he was very, very strong. Yeah, he was like in the 250 range, I think, in the size.
Yeah.
pound-wise. But anyway, yeah, where I went from here was that when I was 16, I finished what you call basically the junior school or junior high school in Norway, and then go on to the university preparation school, and I had to go away from home. So I, of course, selected the closest big city I could find, which was Trondheim, where they had health clubs and stuff like that. So I finally started training with other people, with other people and people that they were older than me and so forth like that. So that was in. So that's when I was 16 years old and I started lifting. And then when I started lifting, I immediately started competing in Olympic lifting. My first bodybuilding contest was at age 17. I got third in Mr. Norway Junior, and then same year I got second in Mr. Scandinavia Junior. And then I won the my age group nationals in Olympic weightlifting. Then powerlifting came around as well. This is just around the time that the powerlifting started. Right? So I didn't realize it was that new when I started doing it. But so I actually have a national championship in Norway in juniors in 1968. I think I won the junior nationals in both bodybuilding and in
the
Olympic
weightlifting
and in powerlifting.
That's pretty cool. When you were doing the weightlifting, did they still do the strict press?
Yes, they did a press. So it wasn't exactly so strict, but but it was no leg movement and stuff like that. They were doing. We were doing the 3 lifts, and then I think we were doing the 3 lift. If I lifted in junior, I did a 3 lift. In my age group, we only lifted what they do now here. Just a snatch and a clean and jerk.
Cool.
For the young people. So when I won age group championship, it was just in 2 lifts, but in the juniors it was in 3 lifts.
So as a junior, what kind of numbers were you lifting?
God, I don't remember.
I know.
I think my best clean and jerk back in like a teenager was probably like 150 kilos.
Nice.
Snatch, I don't remember really, but maybe around 110 to 120, something like that.
It's still
press was probably somewhere between around 120, but I don't remember. There probably is some record from it somewhere. Because I found records actually of some of my track and field stuff from back then, but I haven't looked at the weightlifting, and I don't know if they probably have the records in the international or the Norwegian weightlifting.
It'd be interesting to look back and see.
Yeah. But when I was, but like I said, I was very good at 1-arm lift. I almost, when I was 16, I lifted as much on 1 arm as I could on 2. I lifted over 100 kilo on 1 arm, clean and jerk.
That's incredible.
But I barely could do the same with 2 hands.
But again, I guess it's you were very explosive. You learned to use your whole body. It wasn't, obviously you're not really like pressing those kind of weights.
No. It's all technique, and the reality is that learning a technique on 1 arm is much easier than learning it on 2 hands, because your 1 arm is very coordinated, right? You're right-handed, you're very coordinated, and that's what I find. And obviously, I would have no chance of lifting anything on the left hand. But when you go both hands, technique is much more difficult.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't have anybody to teach me. I was just learning it off of reading magazines. So
that's the way it was back then, I guess, wasn't it? There wasn't really many coaches about. Not like now, where there's because you've done some coaching. I know you helped Martins quite a bit in his early days.
Yeah, Martins came and worked. About almost 10 years ago now. I started lifting with us here.
Yeah,
he's very much of a talent right off the bounce, but it took him a while to get. He had to fill in with he has all this athletic ability, and then fill in with a lot of strength. So
he was telling me a story about how he kept asking you to compete in one of your shows in California's Strongest Man or something like that.
No. It was we have that All American Strongman challenge. Which is at the Fit Expo in LA, and
the Fit Expo.
It's a pro-am, so Nick has won it. Nick Best won it.
Yeah.
Brian Shaw has won it. It was a
big show.
It was a big show. Now it's a big show, but it's only an amateur show now.
Okay.
But when it was a pro-am, it was a big show because a lot of the guys that won originally, they got an invite to the Arnolds.
Yeah, that's right.
If you won it, so it was very good. So several people, including Brian and some other guys that actually made it. Oh yeah, Jerry Pritchett. That's how he got into Arnold's. And I think Jerry won it 3 times. But anyway, during that same time, and the way I met Martins was when he called me and said, he's just moved out here and from Massachusetts, and he wanted to compete in this competition. And I said, have you competed before? He said, yeah, I did an amateur competition. I said, yeah, probably a little heavy for you, but why don't you come out and check it out? So you can, I had all the equipment and my training hall at home. So he came out, and of course the weights were way too heavy for him. So for the next, I think, 3 or 4 years, I told him, no, you helping out, lifting. And then finally let him go. He beat everybody, of course.
The rest
we rated the right time.
Yes.
He only a year before, he wouldn't have done that well.
It's amazing watching his progress, to be honest, because it's been, I mean, obviously you've seen him from the start, pretty much.
Yeah.
I saw him 2016, I think, for the first time at World's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
And, I think he competed in a Giants Live in Iceland, and he was good. He was a good athlete, but the progress has been fantastic.
Yeah, that was the first year I let him compete in the All-American, and he won that. Like, he beat everybody, won almost just about every event. And then he went to Iceland and got 3rd and got invited to the Worlds. And before, every year he was so much better. But I mean, he wasn't like, but he always, when he started, he could have really competed in the middleweight or in the,
he was small, wasn't he? Yeah.
He was, weighed about that, walking around. But he didn't refuse to be a lightweight. He had to compete.
It's an incredible attitude, because a lot of people wouldn't be like that.
He didn't care about winning or losing. He was going to win. He wasn't going to take it the easy way. He was going to take the hard way. The thing about Martins and his training, it's very similar to. He's very meticulous of what he's doing, and how he prepared for lifting, how he prepared for any training session and stuff like that. So anybody seeing his YouTube channel will be able to tell that. And similar to what Brian Shaw too is very, very meticulous about everything he does. It's very similar. Maybe
I get. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I get the impression with someone like Martins, and not just Martins, but like you said, Brian Shaw and stuff. It's not about being the strongest man in the world. It's about winning the World's Strongest Man title. It's about winning competitions, and you can see they prepare meticulously to be the best they need to be in a certain competition. It's not about just having the biggest bench press or biggest squat. It's about being the best all-round strongman they can be. Yeah,
I think that's absolutely true. And also, but they're taking a scientific approach to it. I mean, they're not just going out and lifting weights. I mean, I'm used to it. Obviously, I'm going back so long that when people came into the gym, they just put the weight on there and start lifting heavy weights, right? And now you see like Martins take an hour before he even touch a weight that he's in, because he does so much preparation. And I think Brian came here and trained many times too when he would first get started, and it's pretty much the same thing. Very, very meticulous about what he did.
It shows with
cerebral, think through everything you do, make sure it's optimizing, get the best possible result, and never focus on what you're strong at. Always focus on what you're weak at. So trying to improve your weaknesses, and of course that's really important.
No, absolutely true. Anyway, it's easy to come to talk to you just about strongman in general, because it's, I just love talking about strongman anyway, but I want to talk about you today. Those guys get enough airtime. So I want to kind of, move on to some of the other sports that you did, because did I hear you played American football? Is that right?
Yeah. My next step after finishing high school, or the prep school basically in Norway, I came to go to college in the U.S. And at that time, I just won just before I came, I had won the junior nationals in weightlifting. I had won, I think I got second actually in the powerlifting championship, and then I won the Mr. Norway, or the Open Mr. Norway, actually, the senior class.
For bodybuilding.
So I came to California, bodybuilding, yeah. So I come to America because I want to, really do this thing, right?
So before
there's no weights. There's no weights in school.
But before coming to America, you were Norwegian bodybuilding, weightlifting, and powerlifting champion.
Yeah,
pretty
in
much.
the junior class, and in bodybuilding, both in junior and in senior. But in the other ones, just in age group and
okay,
junior.
It's still very impressive. So you got to America. There's no weights anywhere.
And the college I came to had all kinds of sport. It was great, and the only reason I chose it was co-ed. All the other schools that wanted me to come were all men-only colleges, and I said, "No, I'm not going there." So I chose the school. It was a great school, and I had a great time there for 3 years, and it was a great time. But anyway, they didn't have any weights, or they had weights, but it was so little that it wasn't worth it. But so I was a little frustrated with it, and then somebody saw me walking around, I guess, in a tank top, probably around the campus, and then just kept bugging me about coming out and checking out football or American football. And finally, I said, "Yeah, we're not going to be able to lift some of them, good. Maybe I should do that." So that's what I did. First year was tough. The second and third year, I did really well, and signed a pro contract after my college.
Wow.
First with the Redskins, but I never played there because I got hurt. I ran 100-yard dash and high jumped in college. And right before I went into camp for football, I ran in the conference championship in track and field and tore the crap out of my groin.
Ouch.
I never passed physical. So I signed as a free agent the following year with the 49ers and played a little bit. But that was it. It wasn't a long career. I went back to school.
Okay. So what did you go to then from weightlifting? I mean, from American football. Obviously, you're still training in the gym.
During the time I played football and in college, I wrestled in college a little bit, and I ran track. I was half the track team basically because I ran the relay, started a relay, ran the 100-yard dash. I high jumped, I shot put. I did.
You just like an Iron Man.
It was a small college, so it's college division levels. I could excel in all of them. And then I lifted, but I was totally training with weights because at that point I found a health club downtown city where we were, and that I could go to and work out. I cleaned their showers and bathrooms in return for being able to work out at night after hours. They wouldn't have let me work out during the hours because it was one of those really fancy little places that I could do anything I wanted to at night. So that's kind of.
I thought I've done a lot of sports. I've competed I was British champion at Kung Fu. I've done, actually table tennis to a high level. I don't know why I even mentioned table tennis because it's completely different, but I've been,
that's really, that's a surprise.
I played rugby to a high level. I've done a bit of athletics, but you seem to have done absolutely everything. And do you like keeping busy? Do you sort of?
I do like that. And I haven't, one of the things that like after college and stuff like that, I said, okay, now I want to live. But right after college and right after football, after the American football, I ended up, just training and looking for something to do. And I couldn't really find the right thing. It seems like it was just when really drugs were getting into lifting and stuff like that. And I said, I'm not going to have anything to do with this. So I didn't go into powerlifting or anything like that. I played with the ideas, of wrestling, but then I take a look at one of the videos of look at the TV show and say, no, that's not for me. That's
professional wrestling.
Yes, like BS wrestling. So anyway, so I said, no, not for me. But then so I just like for a few years I just kind of played tennis, did a lot of skiing, did that kind of recreational ball lifting, but not lifting with any goals in mind. So I just all of a sudden, a few years later, found myself I had deteriorated, I thought, in my mind anyway. And then said, from now on, we start lifting. And we're going to do that. I'm going to focus on the training and stuff. And ever since that was in my early 30s, and I haven't quit since. So then I was exposed to, like, I love rugby, actually. But I have never played it. And I was offered many times to do it. But I said, now, if I'm going to lift, I can't do everything. I'm working. I have a career. I am busy. I have my own companies, you know. And
rugby's a tough sport.
I just cannot do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always loved it. I think that would have been more along my line than even when football was, when I did football. And the other thing that I have never done either is really Highland Games.
Yeah.
Because I was a thrower in college, and so I had some throwing in me, but I'm trying to avoid getting to, as I was getting older, and then we found Strongman. When I was in my 40s, I found Strongman. I said, oh shit, where has this been? You know, that's what I should have done since I was young. Well, it was nothing. It wasn't around.
I was going to ask you, what year did you find Strongman, roughly? What year?
In the 90s, I started competing or started helping. The first couple of years, I helped this guy win the Hawaii's Strongest Man. And then I said, wait a minute, I can
I'm stronger than this guy.
Yeah, I can excel at this. So that was, so I jumped in. The third year he won it the third year. I trained him, and I trained myself for it, and I think I got maybe fourth place. That was the first third year he won it, and then I had won it 3 times thereafter.
Nice. So I was going to.
But the funny thing is that I met. What's I'm trying to figure out his name. They called him.
Where's he from?
There, in the middle of it, there was in the mid '80s competing for the U.S. in the RAW Strongest Man.
Bill Casma.
Short.
Oh, not Bill Casma, I know.
No. Short and round.
The black guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grizzly Brown.
Grizzly. Grizzly. Grizzly was a member. Grizzly was training in 1985. I opened up a Gold's Gym.
Wow.
I was transitioning out of real estate into gym business, and it was my first venture into it. And he was training there.
That's cool.
Really, really, really nice guy.
He seemed lovely. He just seemed like he had fun.
I'm pissed at him for not letting me bring me into it. Because he brought, but I realized why he wouldn't. The only thing he could beat me on would be like incline press or bench press or something, pressing his movement. Everything else, I would probably kick his ass on, But he brought his buddy from England, the 3-time world's strongest man, the shot putter.
Jeff Capes.
Jeff, of course, yeah. Jeff came, so I met Jeff there, but I never occurred to me there was something I could do, because at that time there was no competition as we knew about, and they didn't tell me anything about it. And
the thing I was going to ask, because I was just going to say, did you ever watch World's Strongest Man on TV before that?
Well, it was no TV in the US in the 80s.
Okay, so it was just
in the late 70s and early maybe the first maybe. It was just after he left the US, and it was more of a BBC production. They didn't have TV till like in the 90s to start having it on ESPN. Yeah, so that's when they start picking up interest.
Oh, that's interesting. I was wondering, because obviously we've been lucky in the UK. It's been on every year since 1977. But and
that's why, like in the UK, you had competitions all over the place. In the US, that didn't happen. Yeah, there was none in the US.
Yeah, it wasn't until really the 90s when the Americans started getting a bit more involved, and then obviously Phil Pfister kind of winning. It sort of went crazy again.
2006 by that time, but in the 90s we were just starting having competition. There were competition I know in Kokomo, Indiana, with Chad Coy started like the Mid-American Championship and stuff like that, and in Hawaii they had it started I think even earlier than that. Hawaii's Strongest Man was like 91, 92 were the first ones, and they've been going on since then. So it's pretty new to the US. So I was basically in my 40s already when it started here, and I didn't get involved till like almost mid 40s.
Do you wish you could have done it earlier on?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it would have been great. Like, hey, even in '77, I would have been one of the oldest guys. In '77, I would have been 27. I don't think there was many people. And most of them were maybe like 25.
Yeah, that's.
When incredible. I won the Strongest Man in America, or the American Full Strength Championship in 1999, I was 49.
Wow.
Second place was 23. Third place was 25.
So, I mean, you're still the oldest man to compete at World's Strongest Man, aren't you? I think Mark Felix is closing in now, but...
Yeah, he's closing in. The competitions are tough now that he may not be able to make it. He is amazing.
Well, yourself, Mark, Nick Best, those kind of guys, it's incredible.
Yeah, Nick is doing fantastic.
Yeah, really, really amazing. But it shows, like, if you look after yourself, how long you can keep doing these things for,
Yeah.
It's motivating. So many people love seeing Mark, and I know people love seeing like Nick and yourself. And it just gives people that belief that they're not too old and they can still do things. Because everyone thinks you've got to be 22 or 19 or whatever. And, you see someone like Kevin Nee get to World's Strongest Man at 19, but he was finished by 25. Whereas Mark and yourself, Mark started late 30s, you started in your 40s, and you still had a good career in it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think you see. I was just looking at my friends on network, my close and personal friends, as you know, on Facebook, and I say, man, people are really getting old, aren't they? They're like 40, 50, stuff like that, and there are people, and they can tell these are guys working out and stuff like that. So it's really, really nice to see that there's so many people are being inspired to stick with it.
It's incredible.
There's really no reason.
How often do you train a week?
I try to get at least 4 times a week. Ends up probably, 4 times a week, and then maybe like some extra sessions, like we do mass wrestling and we do arm lifting on Sundays, and when I have it for other people, I participate in it. So that'll be like the fifth session.
Do you have like a strict routine that you follow, or do you just see how your body feels?
I'm training with a young kid that's trying to become a strongman. He has a good physical outlet. I don't think he was an athlete, so it's going to take a while before his brain start releasing some of that power. But he's much stronger than he shows on the weights. But he's 6'7" and
wow,
275, 280, stuff like that. So he has some possibility of doing something with it.
Nice.
And so I train with him. So I try to keep up with him and beat him on something and get my ass kicked on other things.
It's good to be the older guy, just kind of keeping these youngsters in their place sometimes, though.
Yeah,
passing on that knowledge.
But at least when it comes to like lifting with lifting like double over and axle stuff like that, I can push them aside.
You've got some fantastic grip accolades, haven't you? Tell us some of your favorite grip like tests of strength.
My favorite really is the double over and axle. Lifting that one, and on the conventional, with the iron mine axle and with the conventional plates, I had my best is 220 kilos.
Nice.
Before, and I always think that I'm gonna do better than that. And maybe I can. I am definitely training so that I can try to get up to that. Try to get at least get a 500. If I not to get up to the world record level of 237.5.
It's because you
27.5 maybe.
It's one of those events like people have different axles and they're all slightly different. So but the Iron Mind one is that's the challenge.
The only one you can count it on unless you want an Iron Mind, because it's not that the other one couldn't be more difficult for that matter. But if there's any slight imperfection in it in terms of bend or anything like that, I know that Eddie, my good friend Eddie Williams, is a really, really strong grip too. And he had done like 240 kilo or something like that. He on the axle back in Australia when he came here, he definitely
they all vary completely.
There's a total different level.
Yeah, no.
There is only Mike Burke did a 236 or 235 or something like that. I don't remember. He had a higher number, but we didn't get counted as a record. And I think it was 235. That is, it was his best real qualified lift. And then it was broken to 236 now by a Ukrainian, I think.
Okay.
But in competition, I have the highest I've seen and been there was when Burke did the 235. And in any other competition, like competing against Mark and I both had 220 as our best lift.
Yeah.
In competition, and now we did it in the same competition. But I only seen, I think, even record of people doing 225 and 230, not in many of my competition, and the only couple of them. Actually, I think it's a German guy that has 230, and I believe he has because I saw him attempted at Arnold's last year, and missed it barely. So I'm pretty sure that he probably had, you can't. Your top lift, you don't get it every time you try it.
No, of course. Have you ever tried the Rolling Thunder?
Yeah, no, that's how it started. The whole thing with the arm lifting was the Rolling Thunder, and we started doing it as a promo for the Beauty and Beast Strongman Challenge in Hawaii, which was like a pro contest, and I had everybody out there. So the first few years of doing that, we had, Magnus Ver, we had Pfister, we had Gillingham brothers, we had a lot of the we had big Magnus Samuelson, all competing on that thing. So it was very competitive. So we called it the World Championship of Rolling Thunder. First year it was won by Jan Bartel of Czech Republic.
Yeah.
But he was doing it without thumbless.
Okay. Yeah.
And
yeah. That's a no-no.
That's a no-no.
Yeah.
But it wasn't then. We didn't realize you can start really cheating if you do it thumbless, because you can bend your wrist up and stuff like that. So it'd be a total different lift.
I love.
Still very impressive. He beat all the best guys in the world basically, and
it's always a great bit of kit to take. Like I do like exhibitions and stuff, and I'll use it for those. And you don't need a huge amount of weight, and then suddenly people can't lift it. Normally on a normal handle they'd lift it easily, and they get so frustrated because it's only like 2 kilos can make a huge difference.
Oh shoot! Yeah.
Go on, what's your best number on the Rolling Thunder then?
123.
Nice. That's good. That's really good. I had a young lad come and train with me last week. Actually, he did 90 kilos first time he did it, which I thought was good for.
That's very good. Yeah.
Anytime
when you start getting up in 90 kilo and 90 kilo plus, it depends a little bit on the handles, because if they're old, they may not get a little easier to lift it. But it's that's great competition. We go to the World Championships, APL World Championships in St. Petersburg. It was supposed to have been in May. Now they're going to be in November, and I don't know if that's going to happen either. But then you compete like it's like a world-class competition, just like an IPF powerlifting contest. I mean, it's precise. You got to lift, boom, boom, boom. We have 3 attempts. You got to call your attempt, and you do it, and you just lift. And if you miss, you're out. You go come back and do the next attempt. But it was a lot of fun, and I won the Rolling Thunder, and 2 or 3 times I've done it. I won the Rolling Thunder and the double over and axle. Nice. Both open and in age group. It's not really. So
the great thing with these things is that you can train grip at a much older age. Like you say, it doesn't take as much out of your body. You can still have fun. And I don't know if you know a guy called David Horn, but he has
of course.
I've been to his place before and tried all his different grip tops, and I love all the different challenges. It's just great fun. The 2-handed pinch, have you seen that one?
The
2-handed pinch, yeah.
I don't know which one. He has like his special apparatus.
He's
stuff
got
like
loads.
That. One of my favorite events is actually other one is like a 3-inch Saxon bar, which is a pinch. I think the 2-hand pinch or the Euro pinch and stuff like that, those are like on pins, and
that's right.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah, it's a little different, but I prefer it on the bar when I can. Maybe because I can manipulate more with my wrist. I don't know. It seems like I'm doing better.
It's all good fun, but anyway, I want to talk about the Super Series, Strongman Super Series. You were involved with that, weren't you?
Yeah, it got started as a result of my good friend Ulf Bengtsson come over to watch our Beauty and the Beast, Strongman Challenge in Hawaii, and then said, let's do this in Europe. So we start. I don't know where the first one we did. The first one, whether we did it in Prague. I think maybe it could have. Yeah, I think it was in Prague at the tennis stadium in Prague. I think the first time we did in 1998. I think we did the first competition. And it started. Go ahead.
I was going to say that the Super Series shows were some of the first. Like I'd always watch World's Strongest Man at Christmas time and stuff like that. But when I first started wanting to do strongman, the Super Series shows were the shows that I was watching. I remember watching the 2002. I think you did 2 shows in a weekend. It was like the end of 2002 and the beginning of 2003 in Hawaii. And I thought they were brilliant. I just absolutely loved them. And I think I've still got them on DVD somewhere now. Yeah. I used to watch them all the time. And you used to put on some heavy shows.
Yeah, we had on that competition. I remember I went head on with Marius in Farmers Walk, and did 175 kilo Farmers Walk per hand up a hill in grass.
And this is a time where at World's Strongest Man they were doing like 125 kilo farmers, and you put this competition on with 175 kilo farmers walks. I remember seeing some of your other shows. Just you always made it heavy and hard. I mean, now strongman's heavy. You know, World's Strongest Man's heavy. The Arnold's is heavy, but they weren't to that kind of level back then. And your shows were always the heaviest ones. I remember seeing people always struggling.
Yeah, we were trying to make it so that the goal was to basically find out that we have the top 5. If you're 10 people, half of them should be able to finish, and the other. Then you have the right weight. This is very difficult if you're doing, for example, now we're doing events like deadlift. We didn't do a deadlift. We did almost all carrying and the other type of lifts. But like deadlift, that would be very difficult because, and you can see it when you're doing the deadlift. You're starting with 400 kilos. I mean, it takes a special type of build to be able to even do a 400 kilo deadlift, and that's the opening weight, and that's just crazy. Yeah. So that makes it less exciting to watch. I think you probably let people, if you're going to do reps on a deadlift in a competition where you have a wide range of abilities, I think you should probably have 2 different weights.
Okay.
They started doing that at Arnold's too. And Arnold's was so heavy that they started doing 2 different weights. If you
score more
heavyweight, you can go a lighter, smaller log and stuff like that. And I think that's important because otherwise nobody can do any reps.
Yeah.
And Arnold's arguably has been almost too heavy.
It's
okay. Let's just make it too heavy because there's so little room to do it in. So you had to do the yoke so heavy that you couldn't fly off the stage, or that you would be hard to do. But it's tough on your body. What are you going to start doing frames with straps, which is just crazy. Everybody got hurt from that.
I actually prefer seeing like a heavy frame still, but without straps.
Oh, same here. And that's what we
400 kilos
now because, I was really pushing hard for that every year. I said, do not use straps. This is crazy. I find that they started going back to doing it without straps, which is the way it originally started. It's a great event up the ramp and stuff like that.
It looks awesome.
Great event. Yeah.
And I really like now I haven't had a go on it personally, but that Wheel of Pain looks awesome. It's a cool looking bit of kit.
That's an awesome piece of apparatus. It's very mean because you had to go for 60 seconds. Yeah. There's one thing that when you do a truck pull, for example, and you go 60 seconds, you're dead.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. And the good part about the truck pull is that if you're able to do it in 25 or 30 seconds, you're done.
Yeah. I spoke to a number of guys that have done it, and they all said it's not that hard to start with. You start pushing it feels okay. But because it is that 60-second time limit and just the lactic acid kicks in and it becomes so hard, because it doesn't, like a truck pull gets easier once you get going. But it's just the same all the time.
Same thing. And the thing is that you see the difference is that unless you can't save yourself either. You just had to be ready to go 100% for
60 seconds.
For 60 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all. If you're not, you're going to be. If you're trying to save yourself, it slows you down so much that you don't get that far.
Yeah, you just got to go with that mentality that you know this is gonna suck,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be dying afterwards.
Train for it. So
Yeah.
like you have 6 seconds, no problem.
But I really like that Rogue are trying to bring new kit and kind of, you know, make it visually look really appealing. I think it's important to keep the sport growing and keep some variety, because we can all tend to get a bit too well rehearsed at some of the events. You know, everyone's got stones now, everyone's got a log, everyone's got farmers and yokes. So something new like that, which is harder to train on, I think is quite exciting. It sees which guys can adapt quickly, and I mean it's a I'm quite happy just to...
Rogue, you know, to just talk about Rogue. Rogue is doing a fantastic job for us.
Yeah.
I think that they spare no money when it comes to putting together equipment, bars, whatever they. It's all precision, all made, manufactured, and really done unbelievably well. Yeah. I think that great company, great people.
Yeah,
but I kind of prefer Strongman. I would wish you could do like you're pulling the weights you're pulling the events out of
a hat.
Out of a hat. And I did one contest like that, you know, just a few years ago on the amateur level, and everybody actually put their kind of I think they used like how we put their preferences down. But it was, you know, you had to have a ton of equipment to do this.
Yeah.
And I do. So we create like 5 different, it was 5 events, and we have 5 different categories, and it was 5 events in each bucket. And each person entering picked their 5 favorite events. And the events that we ran with were the ones that the most people picked. Okay. So like in one different variation of farmer's walk or something like that. If more people pick that over like a front carry, it would be a farmer's walk.
I think a competition like that is great, and I'm not saying for every single show, but as a standalone show once a year where people don't know the events, I think it's quite exciting. I know there's lots of people that would love to see it, I'm sure, because it creates that uncertainty. You know, you can't just prepare for it perfectly knowing every event's, you know, obviously you can't really have people that compete in that gym or with that equipment competing because they have that advantage. But for people that don't have the equipment, I think turning up 10 of the best guys in the world and then chucking 5 or 6 random events at them, don't make it stupidly heavy. You know, don't put in the 600 kilo yoke or something stupid like that. Just make it exciting, make it fun, a little bit different, and just see who's prepared and ready to go with no matter what's thrown at them. Yeah,
I agree. That's kind of what it was in the past. You know, we come to European Grand Prix and stuff. The event, it was almost they told this is what it's going to be, and then you get there and it was something totally different. But usually the unfortunate thing was that the local guy knew what it was and been training for.
And that's why I say you can't really have like someone training.
You could never win in Poland.
Oh, I've competed in Poland.
Or even get to the podium.
Yeah, seriously, I've done competitions in Poland. No lie. You know, guys like Terry Hollands would go on one car and the Polish guys on the other car. Like Terry's a 450 kilo deadlifter at his best. Terry gets 7 reps. The Polish guy, 20 reps. The next guy, you had like, you know, I don't know. So one of the top, you know, guys in the world, 8 reps. Another Polish guy, 17 reps. Yeah. I'd go.
We did the same thing with stones, and they put the Polish guys on the
one side,
and the other on the other.
All the time.
We have the Polish rule in my competition. If you know, the odd or even goes on the odd or even lanes and stays the same throughout the competition. So in other words, you can't fix it, you know, it's random.
Yeah.
And everybody has to be on the same.
They didn't even make it look subtle, though. It was literally every Polish guy this side, everyone else that's good that side.
And they kick your butt.
Yeah, every single time.
I've been there.
It's all good fun. It's all good fun. Yeah. We've got the stories to tell.
I love the competitions in Poland, though. It was great. And hanging out with Marius and having this competition, you know, Jarek and Marius, fantastic guys. You know. It was a lot of fun, and the audience was fantastic. You know, they loved the Strongman. It was like
a lot of the kind of Eastern European countries, like the Ukraine, Lithuania, Poland, all those countries, they just love strength.
Yeah,
we really do. Anyway, I know you've got to get off in a second, but just before I let you go, what what are you focused on right now? You know, what's keeping you busy? I know you're such a busy man. You don't stop. You compete in everything. You're working hard, training hard. What your focus is right now?
Well, I'm just kind of just training, just to not to maintain, but maybe trying to get a little better on the double over and deadlifts and stuff like that, and then all the other stuff will come with it. But that's what I'm really training wise is trying to do. But my events I'm coming up, I have we are hosting like the King Kong Grip, which is like a worldwide thing. So we are doing one of those things in the training hall coming up in October.
Cool.
But then we are in end of November, I have the 805 strongest man and woman. And last year we had over 100 people, and we did it all in one day with 5 events, including mass wrestling. And that was a little bit too much. So this year we're doing it over 2 days, but maybe we won't get as many people because of the COVID-19, but it will be the first kind of like, we have a lot of classes. We have teenage, we have masters, we have novice, and we have open. But open is on the kind of a beginning amateur level. But winners will get national invites. Okay. And then after that, I have the Olympia. We have the arm lifting at the Olympia. You should come and do it.
Yeah, I'd love to. I was just thinking, I'd love to go. You know, now that I'm not going to compete in, I'm focusing more on just fun strength challenges and just whatever I want to do, really. So I'd love to come over and train at your gym, and then maybe do some, you know, grip work and just some of these feats of strength that are just fun.
That would be great. Yeah. Then we're going to have an international mass wrestling tournament at the Olympia as well, and we have people from all over the world don't come. We'll see if we get rid of the travel restrictions and get visas and get people in. But so far, it's a go.
Cool.
That's like the middle of right before Christmas, basically.
I said to you off camera beforehand, I'd love to try the mass wrestling. I've never done it. I know Hanny Bingle's bringing it over to the UK, isn't she? She's
yes.
Hannah's going to.
And you're going to do it at the. You're going to do a demonstration, I think, at that global award ceremony, global sports award ceremony.
Are you still coming over for that?
Yeah, I'm supposed to come over there, so travel.
Then hopefully I
will be there. We are both getting honored.
We're both getting awards. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, we're both getting awards.
Yeah. Beard's going
so I definitely will be there. Assuming that we can travel.
Yeah.
And at the Arnold next year in UK, she's going to try to put on both a national and an international championship.
Well, I'm going to come and learn from the master. So you're going to have to teach me the tricks. Yeah. And I have
good grip, and you're good.
Good grip and good leg strength, good back strength. Yeah. So hopefully I can be okay at it. But I know there's a lot of technique as well in these things. It's not just
it's the heavier the guys are, the less movement there are. But obviously, if you're going to take somebody that's stronger than you, you gotta outmaneuver them.
Yeah.
But if you have a martial arts background, that helps a lot. You notice that the wrestlers and the grapplers immediately when they try it out, they get it right away. They understand that this is not like it's not lifting a weight. You're trying to manipulate the other person, right? But it's an all-out thing. So it's like it may last 1 second, it may last 10 seconds. But if you last 10 or 20 seconds, you are dead.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely all out. It's not holding nothing back.
Definitely. It looks fun. I'd love to give it a go. So
it's a lot of fun, and it's safe. That's the thing. It's just so sad. Some of these people that are doing strongman, and I say they're this really like whoosh. They're like, oh no, we can't do that. I'm gonna get hurt. What the hell? You're doing strongman. Strongman is probably the most dangerous thing you can do. This is, you have control over it. I mean, you're doing man on man, but it's not there's very few things you can hurt.
Yeah.
Hamstring, tear your hand, but that's about it. You've seen bicep tears, stuff like that, but that usually be the same person would have done it the next time they deadlifted, because they lifted bent arms. But typically the hardest part is on the hamstring, because it's definitely a posterior chain type of event.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to look forward to trying it, and if I get some practice in it, then I may even come over and enter one of the competitions at some point, just for some fun.
Man. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I could literally talk to you about strongman and arm wrestling and grip work for hours. But it's been really good to chat to you. All the best, and hopefully I'll see you at the awards show later in the year.
Yep. Good.
Guys,
nice
thank you. Cheers. Guys, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And we will see you with more strength action soon. Take care.